Welcome along to the last video for the year 2023, and I thought that maybe today's topic could be looking backwards and how to look backwards. And whilst you may straight away think that's not possible, it is. Anything is possible. So the topic for today's video is looking backwards, and I thought about this morning while I was on my way down to Yallingup to swim in the lagoon. In the bay where I'm living, we've got a heap of stingers or jellyfish, and it seems like every time I go for a swim, they're there, and I come home with a collection of welts that are quite itchy for days. So I go down further south where it's colder, and the ocean is there. It's not the bay, and there's no stingers. So happy days. Anyway, how do you look backwards, and why would you want to? Looking backwards is pretty important in terms of reflection, and it's the right time of year to start thinking about that, right? On that note, I want you to know that when I think about the new year that's coming, I don't think of it as today's the 31st of December 2023. A lot of people will be getting ready to have a party or do whatever because it's New Year's Eve. And the calendar year is clicking over tomorrow to be the 1st of the 1st, 2024. However, in my mind and a lot of the people that I know and have hung out with for a while, the new year doesn't actually kick in until mid-March. And the reason we look at it that way is because that's when we go into Aries, which is the first astrological sign of the year. So we kick it off in that season. So in the southern hemisphere we are in summer, and in the northern hemisphere it's winter. So we're in the last season of the year, and the season's not finished yet, so a little bit of a difference there. But given that a lot of people will be doing this anyway, today's a perfect day. So how do you look backwards? Before we go into that, I want you to understand a few different ways that the brain actually works. Because you need to use your imagination in order to look behind you. And I'm talking more from a perspective of reflection and in a metaphorical sense, okay? You can look backwards. You can look backwards to look what's behind you by using a mirror, right? Use a rear vision mirror in the car, or use a mirror. You look in the mirror, you can see what's behind you. Everything is an illusion, remember that. You can also, turn to look behind you. Do enough yoga and your spine will be fantastic, and you can literally turn yourself either way and look perfectly behind you. Highly recommend that anyway, because it helps settle down scoliosis and stuff. But anyway, how do you look backwards? So the first thing is to sit wherever you like to sit. Might be outside, might be in your favorite room, might be at the beach, might be wherever. It might be in a coffee shop. You might be someone who gets stimulated by noise around you. So sit with a piece of paper and a pen, or with your phone, but my preference would be paper and pen, and have a think about the year that you're in, and maybe the 5 years prior. Just cast your mind back. Now, just start to write. This is why pen and paper is better. And if you just start to write, just write whatever comes. So think about what happened in the year before. If you're like most humans, you're going to write negative stuff. You're going to write things that you didn't like. And that's fine. So write them all out. Think about what happened. And then start to think about the good things that happened and what things you liked. And then begin to pay attention to how you felt and how you feel. And there's a reason why I'm doing this. So if you start to think about what 2023 and the 5 to 10 years prior were like, so I say 10 years because it's quite prevalent for me. It's quite clear. But for a lot of people, 5 years is far enough. So think about what the last 5 years were like, and use a few words that would describe the last 5 years to you. And then begin to have a think about how you felt, and do your best to try and find moments in the past where you felt good, because the idea is that before you start to set intentions for the coming year and the coming 5 years, you want to set them from the perspective of feeling good, or how you want to feel versus what you actually want to have. And the topic for this talk come from some conversations that I had yesterday, and just because it's the right time of year. So a lot of people set New Year's resolutions or set goals for the coming year, and for some people it's exercise and gives them 4 to 5 weeks and the exercise is long forgotten. For some people it's giving something up, and it's the same thing, you know, couple of weeks in and it's gone. They're back to old patterns. So it'd be fantastic if you could bring in a new year with a new way of being. And in order to do that, you want to feel. And in order to know how you want to feel, you need to reflect and look backwards. So we need to be able to imagine to be able to do this. And I wanted to talk about the brain because I wanted to share with you how fascinating I find this, okay? So the center for our eyes, so for our capacity to look forward, for our capacity to look in the world, to be able to see, actually happens in the back of our brain, okay? The occipital lobe, it's called. And it's at the back of your head. So if you notice that a few days ago I did a video on eyesight and how, you know, what's going on with your eyes, how to look further. And I did it from a metaphorical sense. So today might be a little bit more physical. You want to start thinking about your eyesight and your vision, casting a vision, but also how to look backwards. Look after the back of your head, okay? A lot of people, when they fall down, they hit the back of their head. You're hitting that lobe, that section of your brain that works for your vision. The other thing is even forward knocks and things. Your brain is moving. It's not a fixed thing inside your skull. So you're knocking it around, yeah? If you drink a lot, as in alcohol, or you do different things, sniff a lot of stuff, things that make the brain expand or cause inflammation, same thing, okay? So start to be aware of what's happening on the inside of your head by bringing your attention to your body. And remember that your center for sight is actually at the back of your head. Now, if you do massage, or if you don't do massage, you will now, you want to make sure that you're looking after your scalp and your head. And you can do that by massaging into the back region of your head, okay? You'll feel it. Just feel where your neck is, and where you can feel where your neck joins your head. That's your eill connection, but you'll find where your heavy head meets your neck, and just come up a bit and you'll feel the bump at the back of your head. Just massage that section of your head. You can use essential oils to massage that section of your head. Now, if you use rosemary and cedarwood, fantastic for your hair, so is geranium. Rosemary is also amazing for your memory. Now, the center for imagination and memory and all those sort of things, they're only a little bit in further from that occipital lobe, okay? So you've got that center at the back, and then you come in a little bit further, and you've got your, what they call it, parietal lobe. That's what looks after visualization and things as well. And then sort of in there, but underneath, is the limbic system that we've talked about, and you use your nose, your nasal system, to bring scent in and molecules in to your brain that will help calm your amygdala and settle down your responses to different things, okay? So everything that you want to work on is actually in the back of your head. It's not in the front. The front section, what do they call it? Prefrontal cortex. I always go pre-cortex. Prefrontal cortex. It's just there to make rational decisions and to logically think about shit and operate in the everyday world. And that's in the front, right? So yeah, it does work with creativity and imagination, but it's the front end of the brain. What we want to work with is from the midsection back, from your crown chakra back, right? From the center of your head back. We want to be looking after the back of our head. That's where our vision comes from. So start massaging in there. Frankincense is also amazing, right? Frankincense. Boswellia serrati, Somali. There's a few different variants of frankincense, but massaging it onto the base of your skull, back of your head, base of your skull, every day would be really, really good in terms of assisting you with your eyesight, right? And then what that does is it helps you to become more conscious and connected to what is going on around you in terms of the metaphysical sense, and help you to meditate and get more into that, more into that visualization capacity, more into that connected capacity, and be able to then expand your mind and to be able to think a lot more, to be able to see on many levels, not just forward and back, but around you and in the greater sense of space, right? You want to be able to do that. So, why is looking backwards good? Looking backwards and looking after that part of your brain is really, really good because it helps you with neuroplasticity and creativity. I'll give you a few techniques or some homework, if you like, that you can use as well. But we want to look backwards to get an understanding of where we've been. I talk about the first insight with the Celestine prophecy. And in that, we have to remember where we came from in order to gain an understanding. So you're looking at the history of society in order to gain an understanding for where it is right now. That's probably pretty important for what's about to come towards us. And if you can understand what society has moved through in order to get to where we are today, that's a really good position to be in, to be able to think rationally, to remember that things are always changing and progressing, and to understand that there's things that we can learn from the past that we can take forward and use again. Looking to the back is also like lessons of the past, illumination, enlightening, master of self, that's the east. I think it's from the south. Courage of introspection. So these are lessons from the West, which is interesting that I'm talking to you from Western Australia, so I'm talking to you from the West. Anyway, let's go back to that capacity to look backwards. So if we can start to look after the center of our brain in the back of our head, which is housing our occipital lobe, which is helping us to see forward, it will then also work with that parietal lobe. And in that section is where you can begin to work on your imagination, your meditation, your visualization. And then you're able to close your eyes and think about what is behind you. Think about looking backwards in terms of reflection. And then that will let you understand how you want to feel going forward. And the feeling and emotion is in that limbic system. So all those three sections need to work together. And in order to work together with them, you need to shut down this front part of your mind. You want your third eye open, but you want that rational brain calm. So that's where meditation comes in really handy, or being in your happy space, having no noise around you that distracts you. So if your happy space and you are someone who is able to go inside while still having chaos outside of you, brilliant. But if you are someone who is too easily distracted, which a lot of people are because of devices and the microwave society that we've grown up with in the last 30 years, you'll need to center yourself with some stillness and some quiet. Why do we want to do this stuff? Right, because creativity and expanding our minds, we want our brains to expand. You are capable of rewiring your brain. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this, but you are very capable of rewiring your brain. And rewiring the brain allows you to operate on different neural pathways, different roads in your brain. And then what that does is it allows you to could you say get a bigger brain? It allows you to think bigger. It allows you to think of solutions where before you may have just felt stuck or limited, okay? It helps you in terms of those neurodegenerative diseases that we see a lot of older people getting at the moment. It helps to allow you to escape and to allow you to drift off. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, a lot of us went to school in the Western world and were taught not to imagine, not to daydream. That sort of thing was no good. I have my suspicions as to why that was there. But luckily enough for me, I have a mum who encouraged us to talk to imaginary friends, or me anyway, and who never shut that aspect of us down. So being able to be a very practical, rational person that also has the capacity to think creatively and imagine different possibilities has come in very handy. So we want to be able to rewire that brain and to encourage it to create new pathways, so that if through exposure to different chemicals and toxins or food and whatever else, if by chance we happen to have damaged some of those pathways in our brain, we have already gotten used to creating new ones, okay? So that you can become a different person. You can live again in a different way if the old way gets shut down. Hope that makes sense. All right, neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to rewire itself and thus change the way you view the world around you. In essence, you can teach yourself to be more creative. Neuroplasticity is how the brain heals after a traumatic brain injury or stroke. It's also behind how we learn and retain new skills. So I don't want you to experience a massive brain injury or a stroke or some sort of disability in order for you to be able to think differently. I want you to be able to do it consciously, even if it's just one day a week. Consciously expand your mind to be able to be the best version of yourself, basically, as wanky as that sounds. You want to get really good at divergent thinking. Now, divergent thinking is thinking laterally. Lateral thinking is thinking of all the possibilities, right? It is being presented with a problem and then going, and looking at it differently. Apparently, not that many people have lateral thinking skills. So we want to be able to think laterally. And what that means is creatively. Okay, if you look at little kids, because they don't have that point of reference, they haven't got the roads already mapped out in the brain, they don't go to a problem and go, oh, hang on a minute, the last time I was confronted with something like this, I did X, Y, Z. Yeah. They don't do that. They look at it and go, oh, that looks different. I wonder how that can work together. And then start to work on it differently. So you can learn different languages. You can use Duolingo for that. I'm learning 4 different languages at the moment just because I want to be able to think differently. I notice it if I keep myself linear. The other thing you can do is, what have we got? Take 2 unrelated objects, such as a car key and a thimble. So a thimble is a little thing that goes over your thumb when you sew. Spend 5 minutes thinking about the possible associations between a car key and a thimble. Different ways you could get those things to work together. Another exercise involves thinking about alternative uses for daily objects, like the Little Mermaid, okay, and Ariel, the mermaid that's in that story, combing her hair with a fork. Totally different way to use a fork to what we've been showing, right? So it's creative. The other thing that you can do is called the SCAMPER technique. Now, it's a psychological exercise used for brainstorming and generating ideas. This is all for you to think backwards and to be able to reflect forwards. I want to help you improve your long distance vision, okay? This is the long-sightedness. People that have short-sightedness need this as well. So we're looking after the back of the brain, recapping, back of the brain, so that we can then go into the center of the brain and imagine and dream and create all these different pictures. If you're someone who, as soon as I say that, you go, oh yeah, but that never happened, nah, turn that off, right? Costs you nothing to dream and imagine. Costs you absolutely nothing. And don't think that just because you imagine it and dream it, you think it's never going to happen, so that hurts you and then you get upset. No, that's old belief that you need to go wash out of your system. that's where looking backwards can help you work that shit out, right? That's a whole other video on past life regression and working out how to clear patterns from yourself so that you don't get stuck in that. But just do yourself a favor, and at some point today or the next 24 hours, and then do it again at the start of March when we start heading into that change of season. Start to imagine, dream and imagine. Reflect, dream, imagine. So we're looking after the occipital lobe, that section in the back of the brain. Then we're going into the center of the brain. We're going to get imaginative. We're going to get creative. We want to look at things in a slightly different way. Maybe we're going to close our eyes and imagine what something looks like. You really need to do this stuff. I've got so much random shit that I could share with you, but I think at the moment, let's just stay with this. And then what you want to do is to be able to then go into that next level underneath those lobes, or in and around those lobes, which is where your feeling and emotion and reactions to things live, the limbic system. And that's where you're going to use oils to anchor you into a new space, right? This is why we're doing it. Now, back to the SCAMPER technique to assist you with brainstorming and generating ideas. So SCAMPER is spelled S for Sam, C for Charlie, A for Apple, M for Mary, P for Peter, E for Egg, R for Ron. Substitute. What can you change in a given situation? So you can use this with your reflection, right? Think about your life. You can't undo what's already been done. So now you can sit and look at it and go, right, what could I have changed in a given situation? But what can you change in a given situation? Combine. Does combining the elements help the situation? You could substitute that with, does the combining the feelings help the situation? Adapt. What existing element can you repurpose? You can do this with everything. Modify. What can you change? M is for modify. What can you change? P is to put to another use. Should you use the project in a totally other way? E is for eliminate. What do you need to get rid of? Perfect time of year to start thinking about cleaning out that cupboard. And reverse. Do you need to look at the situation from another point of view? Perfect, right? So substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse. That will then help you to begin to generate different ideas. So if you look backwards, okay, and you think about some other things that you want to bring in by looking backwards, you can use that SCAMPER technique to start to brainstorm different things that you would like to see. So then you're forecasting forward, right? As humans, or generally, especially as a society, because we want things, Western society, because we want things to happen fast, we tend to overestimate what we can achieve in 12 months, but we underestimate what we can do in 5 to 10 years. So it's time to just be a little bit slower with what it is that we are anticipating, imagining, dreaming, visioning for the next 12 months, and allow that to expand into the 5 or 10 years beyond that. Because when we've got something to work towards, it feels a lot better, right? Talk about feelings again in a minute. Different ways that you can improve your creativity and imagination include meditation. So I talk a lot about meditation. I've given you some different journey work type meditations. You can do visualization, which is that divergent thinking, the neuroplasticity, what we were just saying, right? Close your eyes and imagine. Mind mapping is another way that's pretty cool. So majority of people that I've met don't even know what a mind map is, but then there's a lot of people that I know from past careers and things that know what a mind map is. So a mind map is to start with a circle in the center with the problem, the thought, the issue, whatever, and then you just, put lines off that and another circle. So it looks like you can do it on a computer. There's software for it, but just do it by hand. And you end up with a big piece of paper that's got lots of circles and lots of writing and lots of lines connecting the circles, right? But mind mapping is pretty cool. You can also use your environment. So it's helpful to set up an environment that encourages creativity. For example, look at how children's playrooms have toys, posters, art supplies to help the child explore their creativity. Adults can set up a similar environment, perhaps by a window with a scenic view, with creative elements and a calming ambience. Creativity and mental health reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. We're not going to read any more into that because a big part of what I would like to do is to help people to deeply relax and be able to come towards life from a more centered approach, even if nothing is in your control. But right now we need to think backwards, look after the back of our head, massage, stimulation. If you're someone who sleeps on the back of your head, think about how all the blood is pooling at the base of that skull, the back of the head of a night time. If you're someone who's had car accidents or accidents of any kind, things like that, you've probably got a little bit of a neck issue going on. You might benefit from a little bit of gentle manipulation, some osteopathic work, cranial sacrum adjustments. Cranial sacrum adjustments are amazing. You can also get orthobiotomy, just some gentle work that will assist with the realignment of the body and all of the systems of the body. But yeah, look after that part, the occipital lobe. It's going to help you to see forward but also to see backwards. Start to look after that section then, the parietal lobe, which is in further forward to the front but in the back, and then your limbic system. All right, and you're remembering that we're doing all of this to encourage imagination and to sit in the moment and sit in the feeling of, okay, well, that's where I've been, that's what happened, what did I do, what didn't I do, what did I not like, what did I like, how did I react? When you first reflect and think about things, you'll have different words to describe the last 12 months compared to when you actually sit in silence, sit in that space of safeness, sit in what your mind creates as a good space, as a home, as a happy space. And if you can sit yourself in that moment, you'll actually find that there'll be neutral words that should come to describe what the year was like, okay? You might have positive words. Congratulations if you do. But for a lot of people, it's going to be negative first, and then you'll be able to shift your verbiage to a more neutral tone. So words like amazing, fantastic, brilliant, wonderful, words like that seem to be quite neutral, right? You can use them either way. If you can shift to a neutral space, then you can start to think about how you would like to feel for the year to come and the years to come. Thinking about how you want to feel for the years to come then helps you to define what it is that you want to create in your life. So instead of saying, I want to lose 10 kilos in 2024, think about how you will feel when you've done that, or imagine being 10 kilos lighter, and then unpack it so that you understand what the feeling is that's attached to being 10 kilos lighter. Because it might be that you don't actually want to lose 10 kilos. That's not your goal. Your goal might be to feel lighter. And you potentially can probably do that by looking into fasting, looking into different ways to consume food, looking at different ways to feel when you're eating food. There's lots of meditating more, being in the ocean. There's lots of different things that you can do to make yourself feel lighter, to help yourself feel lighter, versus thinking that you need to lose 10 kilos because you feel heavy. So I hope that you're getting where I'm going with this. It's all about understanding where you've been to then be able to think consciously about what you want to create and do it, actually achieve it, be it, experience that feeling. If you want to feel more happy in the coming year, you're going to need to identify what happy actually feels like. If you want to feel free, a lot of people want freedom. And especially at this time of year, a lot of people will advertise working for yourself, or network marketing, or multi-level marketing, or affiliate marketing, something like that. They will advertise and promote a lot of that sort of stuff as freedom, but they're not linked, okay? They're not linked. Freedom is a feeling that they are things that you do to potentially create an income, but you want to have a think about it, right? And if you tell me that you want to win the lottery, a lot of people can't imagine that. You know, what would you do with the 20 million bucks or the 2 million bucks or the $9 billion? What would you do with that sort of thing? And how would you feel? And then look for ways that you can create that feeling over the next 12 months without linking it to an experience. While you're doing this process, you can find your favorite scent and use it as an anchor. But that's probably another video again. Anyway, that's my take on looking backwards. How do you look backwards? And remember, look after the back of your head. I know I'm repeating myself. Look after the back of your head, massage, stimulate. If you lay on the back of your head when you sleep, when you get up, massage, stimulate, allow the blood to move around, create the energy and the flow, get everything to move around so it's not stagnant. If you've never done headstands and things like that before, just start putting your head forward and then slowly bring your head back up. I don't want anyone to fall over because they've got fucking low blood pressure. Look after the back of your head, massage the back of your head, bring your hands into the center of your head, massage the center of your head, massage the base of your skull. Just start to look after the top part of your body and use frankincense on your head if you can get hold of it, because I'd love more people to be in full alignment and be switched on. Can you imagine the chaos that we could make in the world if everyone was totally connected in terms of connected into themselves, and you actually understood that there's nothing that anybody can do to hurt you anyway? We don't live in that sort of world. Some people do, all right? But I'm talking to most people who are in a situation where they're scared to do shit because of a potential consequence. They're making it up, and it's never going to happen. So start to think about different ways that you want to do things. And let's break the system. All right, see ya.